Today's NHL free agent frenzy. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at all the latest free agent rumors and things we might see later today, as well as some trade rumors and some top names that have yet to be moved this offseason. And that's coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, today we're taking a look at all the latest trade and free agent talk as we head into free agent frenzy day. It's been a very, very busy month, busy offseason. We've gone through the expansion draft, we've gone through the NHL draft, and now here we are getting ready for the free agent frenzy. Once free agency calms down, the offseason will kind of start to settle a little bit, and then we'll have a little bit of a break in the news cycle before things ramp back up here, in September when training camps open. So getting started today, I want to look at a couple of trade rumors, and then we'll talk about the free agent stuff. Now, when it comes to trades, we saw a pretty significant deal yesterday with Marc-Andre Fleury getting traded from Vegas to the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, I've already seen reports started to surface pretty much almost immediately, even including some from Pittsburgh media, suggesting that Marc-Andre Fleury may not want to play in Chicago. He could retire. He could tell them that he does not want to report to camp and that he wants to be traded. We don't know how Fleury's going to handle the situation. Apparently right now, he's taking some time and kind of mulling it over with his family, trying to decide what to do. Of course, he's got 3 little kids, didn't really want to uproot the family. He's got 1 year left on his contract at $7 million. So if he retires, that's a lot of money to leave on the table. It's really hard to say what happened, but I know the Penguins were a team that were apparently quite shocked when they heard this news. Of course, they tried acquiring Fleury last year. It did not work out. Even though they have a new regime running the team now with Hextall and Burke, it's still a scenario where they want to upgrade goaltending. There's no doubt about it that that's high on their priority list to do this offseason. So they were either going to trade Jerry and find a new number one, or they were going to look to maybe move Casey to Smith and bring in another goaltender to work with Jerry or something. They needed to change things up. Tristan Jerry, where they were not comfortable with him being the main starting goaltender at this point. So a Fleury return to Pittsburgh would have been something they would have been very interested in if they were going to make that kind of deal with the Vegas Golden Knights for such a small asking price. But of course, the problem for Pittsburgh is that they don't have the cap space. So Chicago had the ability to take the contract and absorb it without subtracting an NHL contract. Pittsburgh did not have that luxury. Now, the only way there's any kind of a pipe dream here to get him back to Pittsburgh, for one, he's going to have to tell he won't report, asked to be traded, and he's going to have to hope that Pittsburgh would do this deal, and I really think they would if it got to that. But Chicago would have to be willing to accept a contract from Pittsburgh. So, for example, do they offer Tristan Jerry to Marc-Andre Fleury and do a swap with the Hawks? I don't know. I mean, obviously, the Chicago Blackhawks did not acquire him for the intention of flipping him. That was not what they were trying to do. They wanted to acquire the goaltender to improve their team. So, it's hard to say how they handle this, and we're going to have to await further word from Fleury to indicate if he's going to, accept this and just go play and ride it out for a year, and then he'll be a free agent. Could he retire? Hard to say, but there's a lot of talk about Pittsburgh trying to figure out if he really doesn't want to go there, if they can bring him back home and figure out a deal, because that's something they've already were interested in anyway. But I don't blame them for exploring the options to see if there's anything they can work out. Now, could we see a big name or 2 or 3 traded before the frenzy really kicks in? It's certainly a possibility, but it's hard to say. I mean, at this point, teams that are looking to inquire on a guy like Jack Eichel on a $10 million contract, if they can't find a deal with Buffalo, they're going to go find another option, and they're going to end up using up their cap space, and their trade's going to get that much more difficult. Same goes for Vladimir Tarasenko. The same goes for even a guy like Johnny Gaudreau. Johnny Gaudreau has a partial no-trade clause that kicks in and could block a bunch of teams, and which is actually quite a few teams. I think he has a 10-team yes list, I believe, is how his contract works. So, if any of these guys don't get dealt, it's going to become that much more challenging here to get a deal done there. Now, when it comes to Eichel, there was one new rumor that surfaced today, and it came courtesy of the Hockey News and Ryan Kennedy, talking about his sources indicating that he knows what the asking price is for the Sabres to complete a deal with the Golden Knights. Apparently, the Sabres would want forward Riley Smith, top prospect Peyton Krebs, top young defenseman Nicholas Hague, any first-round pick. I mean, to me, that's 4 solid-looking assets for the Sabres. Any team that's going to make this deal has to have at least one NHL contract come off their books. To me, if I'm Vegas and that's a legit, accurate offer, I'll take that deal all day long. I mean, when it comes to the Sabres, they're going to get, some multiple young assets, a good young forward, a good young defenseman, a first-round pick that will hopefully be a good young player too. Riley Smith's only got 1 year left on his deal. Not sure how long he sticks around, probably not too long, but still, like, that would be a tremendous deal for Vegas. I would have to think that maybe there'd be one additional asset included in there. There might have to be maybe 2 first-round picks, or maybe even a second-round pick or something. I would think there would have to be one more, but that's what Ryan Kennedy is suggesting here. Now, of course, I've seen other NHL insiders not comment on this yet, so we don't know how accurate this is. I mean, the Hockey News are not typically people that are breaking news and kind of have inside leaked information like that, so I really don't know how accurate that is, but it's an interesting thought. I mean, certainly as soon as Vegas made the trade for Fleury today, clearing that cap space, I know myself, that's the first thing I thought of, is they're going for a center. I wonder if they'll be going in a little bit harder on Jack Eichel. We had already heard that they were sniffing around and were having conversations with the Sabres. That was, confirmed by multiple NHL insiders some time ago. So at this point, you'd have to think that it's the type of move they're going to do, but is it him that they're going to go for, or are they going to go into free agency instead? Like there's been some other guys they've been linked to, so it's really difficult to say, but I can understand why people would think Vegas. They're a team that goes big here, and they've always been going for the big name players that become available because it doesn't happen a lot. So they want to win that elusive Stanley Cup, and they want to do it as soon as possible. So he could be a big help. But do you see there being any legitimacy to this Eichel trade offer from the Sabres in Vegas here to see if it could actually work out? Now, before we go through the list of the free agents and where they're rumored to possibly be heading, I do need to pause for a moment and acknowledge our channel sponsor, Manscaped. Top Shelf Hockey is proud to be sponsored by Manscaped. Of course, with Manscaped, we have a special offer here for all Top Shelf Hockey viewers where you can get 20% off and free shipping on all orders at manscaped.com. Now, of course, Manscaped just launched a brand new Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, which is a fantastic product. They've taken the level up here, even again with the skin-safe replaceable blades. It's waterproof, it's wireless charging, has a travel lock on it, as well as a nice light so you don't miss what you're doing. So certainly a terrific product. Now, many people associate Manscaped with their trimmers, which is certainly kind of their top product, but they do have a lot of other great options as well, including what they call the Weed Whacker, which is another trimmer for your ears and nose. And they have a variety of deodorants and sprays as well, which also keep you fresh and are terrific as well. So certainly Manscaped has a lot to offer, and we certainly highly recommend all of their products. So check out manscaped.com and use promo code TSH for 20% off and free shipping. So thanks very much for watching that promotional video. I greatly appreciate it. Getting into the free agent talk of the day, there's still a lot of people that feel that Dougie Hamilton is very, very likely heading to New Jersey. I think it's fair to say that the Hurricanes are still in the mix. I don't think they're going to let him go here that easy, but it's a situation where he is supposedly getting a big offer from the Devils. Now, he's got permission from the Canes to speak to other teams, so he could, get a little bit further along here without anybody accusing anyone of tampering. And the Devils have been very coy with their social media posts as well, so we will see. But I would not be shocked to see Dougie Hamilton end up with the Devils. I think they're going to back up the Brinks truck and basically pay the man whatever he wants to come to their organization. So we'll have to see, but that's the latest on him. We had rumors today that Tony DeAngelo likely is heading to the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, of course, I don't know if they're going to view him as a Hamilton replacement. I don't know how cheap the contract's going to be. It's going to be a 1-year kind of reprove yourself kind of contract, but apparently when the Canes started showing interest and he had a chance to go play for Rod Brindamore, that's something he wanted to take advantage of. So that's kind of where things are at. We were hearing a lot about the Habs or the Leafs, and that looks to be not the case. Montreal's definitely out here, and Carolina appears to be the landing spot for the defenseman who was bought out by the Rangers. So we'll see if he can get his career back on track in Carolina. Like I said, that could be after Hamilton leaves. That's likely what's going to end up happening there, is based on my predictions. There is word as well that Gabriel Landeskog is having more dialogue with the Avalanche, and the Avalanche are trying their best to bring their captain back. Elliot Friedman was reporting as much as last night that there was a 7-year times $7 million contract on the table, and that they're trying to get him locked up. They'll even consider going to an 8th year. I don't think the AAV will go up a whole lot more than that, though. So we'll see. I know there's been a lot of emotion in this one as well. Landeskog appears like he could head to the market to see what's out there, but I know the Avs are pushing hard. To me, I wouldn't pay him more than 7 times 7. I think that's a fantastic deal and a really fair deal. but we'll see what happens. I think they're going to push hard, but if they get him, I think that the odds of them keeping Philip Grubauer are probably pretty slim. I think Grubauer is going to hit the market and possibly end up leaving. I think they seem like they're willing to do that. I don't know what they're going to do with goaltending, but at this point, it looks as though it's going to be one or the other, and I think that odds are better that Landeskog stays over Grubauer, but it is possible that they could end up losing both. Now, when it comes to the Toronto Maple Leafs, they're rumored to be making a couple of signings, and they're also rumored to be making some talks on some trades as well. Guys like Ilya Mikheyev and Alex Kerfoot are in the rumor mill. That was reported by Darren Dreger that they are considering moving those guys to free up some additional space. So we could see moves involving those guys. Even though Kerfoot survived the expansion draft, doesn't mean he's going to be with the team heading into next season. It's also been rumored that they could be signing UFA forward Michael Bunting from Arizona. He could be a real good depth piece that they get for a pretty cheap price tag. Of course, once again, the connection there is he played for the Sioux Greyhounds, where who was the GM and the coach? Yes, Sheldon Keefe and Kyle Dubas. We have a pattern there of them bringing in players that they were familiar with from their time in junior. And Bunting, really, you know what? He's taken the long road here. He's 25 years old, but he plays with a lot of speed. Had a real solid stretch last year where he was getting more NHL games and minutes than he ever has before, and was kind of a streaky scorer. He went to the World Championships for Team Canada and did well. I mean, I wouldn't overpay for that short stint of excellence, but it's a player they could probably get without, too big of a contract that could get them some pretty good value and might be a good piece for them longer term as well. So Bunting to Toronto is a real possibility, and apparently the Leafs are considering signing Josh Ho-Sang as well. I mean, he's looking to make an NHL return, although he likely wouldn't get a one-way contract. Ho-Sang will likely get a two-way deal is what we're hearing from the Leafs. He could be maybe a call-up option for them. I'm not sure how that's going to work out, but that was one of the rumblings around the NHL circles today as well. Ducks captain Ryan Getzlaf appears like there's a real chance he could be leaving the Anaheim Ducks. Apparently, he has talked to other teams. He's done some interviews talking about how this is the first time in his career that he's testing free agency, and he's kind of excited about it. And there was talk on TSN Insider Trading that he could be landing in possibly in Montreal or Edmonton. Now, there are some U.S. teams as well that are showing interest that he could end up going to. I know Dallas was one team that was mentioned. There was some speculation on Boston, but I don't think that's going to be the case anymore, because it looks like they are bringing back David Krejci, so that would complicate things cap-wise. But Dallas was one of the teams, and there was, I think, one or two others interested as well. But I know returning to Canada and playing for the Edmonton Oilers or the Montreal Canadiens seemed to be something that was interesting to him. I know the Oilers really want a number 3 center, and they preferably want somebody with a right shot. So he would be that guy, and could be a great fit there, really. And he could join his old teammate and his old friend Corey Perry in Montreal and see if he can help them go on another run as well. We don't know if the Habs are bringing back Eric Stahl, so he could play a similar type of role for them and possibly reunite with Perry again. You just never know. That would be a fun thought. I don't know how it'll work. Obviously, they're a whole different stage of their careers, but at least it's an intriguing thought to think about. Speaking of Montreal, it looks more and more likely that Phillip Danault will not be returning to the Habs. I mean, unless they come back at the last minute and really increase their offer, it's unlikely. But we're hearing a variety of teams linked to Phillip Danault. We heard the Rangers were interested, the Kings were interested, and after today's moves with clearing out cap space, the Vegas Golden Knights are rumored to be interested in him as well. I did see reports from Montreal media indicating that there was interest from Vegas, that could be the guy they're zeroing in on with their newfound cap space after trading Marc-Andre Fleury. So we'll have to see what happens in that regard, but I think the odds of Danault returning to the Habs at this point appears to be pretty slim. And the Vancouver Canucks are also concerned over an Elias Pettersson offer sheet. I know they're in a situation where they're kind of tight up against the cap. They got Pettersson and Hughes both need new deals. And, it's a situation where if a team really wanted to throw the money at Pettersson, he would be one of those guys that might actually be worth doing it. Now, personally, I think the odds are very, very slim. It would have to be a team that's got tons of space. So we're looking at Seattle, New Jersey, Detroit, maybe Ottawa, but it's probably unlikely. If anybody was going to do it, the team that would probably make the most sense would be the Seattle Kraken. Now, I can't say with any kind of certainty that they would actually do it. I think it's probably very, very unlikely, but there certainly are reports that saying, given the cap space that they have, that the Canucks are concerned over this. However, since those reports come out, we've also seen them trade Nate Schmidt last night, so that helps with their cap situation. We've also seen them buy out Braden Holtby, so that helps things here a little bit as well. Of course, they moved a bunch of dead weight earlier with the Coyotes deal, but of course, they got Oliver Ekman-Larsson back, which was a hefty deal as well. So obviously, they're not super flexible with cap space, but they're not as bad off as they were before, and I think they'll be able to get through it without getting any kind of a real issue when it comes to offer sheets. But I'm sure there is probably some teams out there that are tempted, and if they do want to really throw the money at a player like Pettersson, it would put the Canucks in a really bad spot, and I can understand why they're concerned. But I think the odds of it happening, extremely slim. But we should be in for a very exciting day with tons of news. So let me know all your thoughts and opinions on all these trade talk, as well as the free agent rumors, down in the comments, and we'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the latest news and rumors on all 32 NHL teams. There should be plenty of content coming today as all these players decide where they're going to be playing for next year and beyond. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.